Dialogue between Buddhism and Other Religions. Questions 61 to 70.
Question 61. Do spirits have any influence on people in the physical world?
The soul is inherently tied and governs the physical body. Even when the body dies, the soul retains this nature. However, even though spirits may have the ability to connect with living bodies, influencing or possessing a body requires specific conditions. There are the following cases where spirits influence the human world. Spirits can affect the psychology of living individuals, causing feelings of sadness, depression, or irritability without a clear reason. They can also transmit important messages or ideas to the minds of the living, helping them solve problems or make significant decisions. These influences often come from spirits who linger in a household for a long time, forming bonds with the living without their awareness. Weak spirits generally cannot influence the living, and thus have no noticeable impact on human life. On the other hand, strong spirits can exert physical effects, such as creating noises, appearing in visible forms, entering one's dreams, whispering into one's ears, or overpowering someone during sleep, commonly known as sleep paralysis. Some spirits possess living individuals to communicate with others or temporarily enjoy the sensations of being alive. Such possessions usually occur due to a specific pre-existing karmic connection or debt between the spirits and the living. Occasionally, deities or divine beings may possess humans, known as divine possession, to deliver critical messages to a community. In rare cases, when an older person passes away unnoticed during the night, a spirit within the house may possess the body while it is still warm. The spirit then lives in the physical body, although the personality and demeanor change completely, leaving family members bewildered. Certain shamans or sorcerers have the ability to interact with spirits. They may summon spirits, offer them sustenance, and train them as spiritual soldiers, often called shadow soldiers. When hired by clients, these spirits are requested to perform harmful acts, such as creating disturbances, doing harm, or manipulating people. Some shamans even exploit spirits to gain insights into other people's lives for fortune-telling purposes. After all, spirits are also sentient beings with needs such as sustenance, clothing, and moral teachings. If we offer food to these spirits, recite scriptures for them, and teach them about morality, they can become our allies or spiritual companions, providing us with significant support and protection in return.
Question 62. If talismans use the power of spiritual soldiers, then what is ngai, spiritual herbs?
Plants also possess spiritual essence, not just physical elements, though their spiritual essence is weaker than that of animals. Animals have a strong enough spirit to form a sense of self, a central ego, while plants possess subtle spiritual energy that can only create an invisible responsive connection to their surroundings. The essence of the soul, or spirit, lies in awareness or consciousness. To have awareness means to possess a spirit. Plants have awareness but lack a central ego to recognize this awareness, unlike animals which possess both awareness and a central ego. However, certain plants, particularly ngai, spiritual herbs, are exceptional. Their spiritual essence is so strong that they seem to possess a distinct ego or consciousness. If given the chance, one might observe a ngai plant consuming food. Its roots can move, causing the soil to shift and pulling food into the ground to absorb. Some types of ngai can even consume living chickens. If a chicken is thrown into the plant, it visibly moves like a living creature devouring its prey. In this sense, ngai seems like an animal-like spirit trapped in a plant's physical body. Understanding this unique nature, shamans often cultivate these plants, feeding them, talking to them, and gradually training them to serve their purposes. Like talismans and spiritual soldiers, ngai can provide shamans with important information and influence someone's mental or physical state upon request. Thereby, shamans can make a living using these spiritual capabilities. However, if ngai and talismans are used for evil purposes, these shamans will suffer severe and excruciating illnesses at the end of their lives as a form of karmic retribution.
Question 63. In many cases, spirits possess living people and act strangely, causing their families to seek help from monastics to exorcise the spirits. How can a spirit be expelled from a person?
When a spirit possesses a living individual, it takes control of their body. Sometimes the possessed person remains semi-conscious and aware in a dreamlike state, while at other times they lose all consciousness and have no recollection of the event once the spirit leaves. During the possession, family members may witness a completely different personality inhabiting the person's body, often revealing unusual knowledge. Medical scientists attempt to explain this phenomenon as a case of dissociative identity disorder, which is occasionally observed around the world. However, those who have directly encountered such cases firsthand firmly believe that it is indeed a spirit possession, not a mental disorder. Some benevolent spirits possess a family member merely to share important messages or instructions, then they leave without causing any disturbance. Such cases require no intervention. Other spirits, however, may be emotionally unstable, aggressive, or opportunistic. They often possess individuals with whom they have unresolved karmic debts, seeking to satisfy their unfulfilled desires for food, drink, and worldly pleasures. This possession leads to erratic speech and behavior, causing fear and confusion among those around them. Over time, the possessed individuals may lose their sanity, and their lives can become severely disrupted as they are unable to study, work, or maintain social relationships. In such cases, expelling spirits is essential to help the afflicted regain their normal life. Here are some common methods used by monastics to exorcise spirits. Sometimes, simply meeting a truly virtuous monastic is enough for the spirit to leave on its own without any intervention. It only requires a virtuous master to place their hand on the possessed person's head and recite a prayer. The prayer is unique to the master's wisdom, not a standard formula. The master's spiritual strength and virtue can subdue the spirit, preventing it from possessing the person again. Food offerings are presented, inviting the spirit to partake, not through the possessed person's body. During this, sutras of repentance and compassion are recited for the spirit, advising it not to possess the living anymore, as such actions incur bad karma. Repeating this process can help the spirit relent and stop possessing the individual. Some shamans resort to scolding or threatening to force the spirit to leave. This approach can occasionally frighten the spirit, but ultimately yields no results and only increases resentment and hostility, making the situation worse in the long run. Some shamans summon spiritual soldiers to attack the possessing spirit and force it to leave. However, this approach can backfire, as the spiritual soldiers themselves may later possess the individual, creating an even more troubling situation. It is essential to consider which approach is most appropriate for the situation.
Question 64. Throughout the history of religions, there have been occasionally enlightened monastics who possessed supernatural powers. What does this mean?
Each religion has its own criteria for defining and recognizing an enlightened individual. However, there are some common characteristics across religions. Flawless morality, altruism, compassion, and unconditional love for all beings. They are thoughtful and considerate, even in the most minor matters. Their presence brings a sense of peace to everyone. A tranquil and peaceful mind, free from anger, afflictions, or trivial worries. A profound wisdom to explain and clarify life's complex and challenging matters. Extraordinary intuition to perceive and understand things beyond people's normal senses. Exceptional abilities, often referred to as supernatural powers. The ability to interact with beings in the spiritual realm, such as spirits, ghosts, or deities. A life devoted to benefiting their community and the greater good. In Buddhism, there is a detailed system of criteria for the stages of sainthood, allowing practitioners to assess themselves or others accurately. Buddhism recognizes the 4 stages of sainthood, along with preceding levels of meditative attainment. Teachings on sainthood in Buddhism are comprehensive, meticulous, and logically structured, worthy of reference for other religions.
Some religions canonize individuals as saints when they have gained the trust and veneration of the masses because of their exemplary moral conduct or extraordinary deeds before their passing. Other religions may not have formal canonization processes, simply relying on the faith and reverence of the followers. The path to sainthood also varies across religions. For instance, in Buddhism, the Noble Eightfold Path serves as the roadmap, requiring practitioners to diligently cultivate its 8 components over many lifetimes to gradually attain sainthood, or enlightenment. Other religions may emphasize practices such as prayer, asceticism, charitable works, meditation, and divine selection to achieve sainthood. There are saints who are revered across different religions, while others are only venerated within their own faiths. Regardless, what we ultimately hope for from saints of all religions is their contribution to fostering unity and love among humans, building a more ethical and benevolent world, and encouraging followers to transcend religious differences to live together in mutual respect and harmony.
Question 65. Science, with its evidence-based experiments and concrete results, has become a symbol of human civilization's pinnacle. Yet, religion relies primarily on faith without specific evidence. So why do most people still deeply believe in religion?
Faith in religion and the divine is an inherently natural aspect of humanity. Even those who oppose belief in the divine must make a great internal effort to suppress and resist them. It may be assumed that religious faith is the result of indoctrination, repetitive teaching, or persistent propaganda. However, such approaches are increasingly ineffective in today's scientifically inclined world. What parents teach their children is not guaranteed to be accepted when they grow up and form independent perceptions. Religion is basically a system of beliefs about the divine, the metaphysical realms, and moral standards that resonate naturally with human beings. One might argue that morality is undeniably essential, but the concepts of the divine and metaphysical realms are merely beliefs, not intrinsic realities. This perspective aligns with scientific reasoning, which only relies on tangible evidence. However, deep within the subconscious, humans perceive themselves as more than just physical beings. They sense themselves as souls that are simultaneously connected to and independent of their physical bodies. It is this soul that naturally feels the existence of metaphysical realms without needing external propaganda or teaching. Looking back to the early days of human history, when scientific knowledge was scarce, we find that humans across different races, tribes, and cultures all shared similar perceptions of spirits, deities, and the supernatural. It is because these perceptions arise from the human subconscious mind, which, despite being confined to the physical body, still senses the existence of other realms beyond the material world. For instance, when humans observed a deceased body becoming cold, lifeless, and unresponsive, much like an inanimate object, they naturally contrasted this with their own living state, filled with consciousness and emotions. This comparison led them to intuitively recognize that human consciousness was far more complex and profound than something that simply ends at death. Furthermore, they often experienced dreams where they encountered deceased loved ones. These dreams were exceptionally vivid, clear, and emotional, far more distinct than ordinary ones shaped by imagination or thought. Such experiences further reinforced their belief in realms beyond the physical world. Across the globe, humanity has developed an almost universal belief in the supernatural. Over time, many social leaders and activists have skillfully harnessed this intrinsic faith to connect with the masses. By consistently extolling and expressing reverence for the divine, they could gain the trust and wield significant influence over people.
Question 66. For believers, religion is indispensable, but for non-believers, is religion merely superfluous?
The essence of religion lies in teaching morality based on belief in divine beings. The belief that divine beings always watch over humanity encourages individuals to cultivate their morality to avoid committing sins and facing divine punishment. It is this belief in the divine that inspires people to develop and perfect their morals, contributing to a more peaceful and happier society. Once morality is firmly established, individuals naturally gain confidence in their lives. Building morality for oneself without relying on belief in divine beings is incredibly challenging. A few individuals can establish personal morality without such belief, but these cases are exceedingly rare. Most people need a belief in divine beings to shape their moral foundation. The role of divine beings, or rather the role of belief in divine beings, is immensely significant. It would be highly beneficial to harness this belief to uphold moral standards in society. However, there are also side effects to belief in divine beings. Some exploit this belief for personal gain, demanding unreasonable offerings or promoting superstitious practices. Superstition signifies the lack of a moral foundation. Others assume themselves to be representatives of divine beings and become arrogant. Over time, such irrational behaviors lead to dissatisfaction among the masses and can even spark atheistic movements opposing belief in divine beings. We should remember that belief in divine beings holds value only when it motivates human kindness and morality. This should be the foundational purpose of all religions. Religions should promote this principle so that their existence remains meaningful and beneficial to human life.
Question 67. Modern science has advanced to a level where it is nearly capable of approaching the power of the Creator, crafting robots more skilled than humans and altering genetic structures to create new species. How should we understand this issue?
When humans discover the laws of nature, they can apply them to influence nature and create new species according to their desires. Understanding natural laws to improve life is the very essence of scientific progress. The Creator has embedded countless laws in nature and does not hinder humanity from uncovering and utilizing them to improve life. However, each issue is often governed by multiple laws simultaneously. For example, when we apply mechanical laws to create an internal combustion engine, we are still subject to chemical laws, environmental laws, and the law of karma. Cars may be mass-produced and widely available, but only those who can afford them, essentially sufficient blessing or fortune, can own them. Even then, how one uses the car wisely to avoid squandering that fortune and diminishing blessing is another matter altogether. Similarly, robots may become ubiquitous in human life, but the key question is how they are used. If used wisely, robots can bring immense benefits to society. However, if misused for unethical purposes, they could exacerbate human suffering and create more significant challenges for society. Sometimes when humans achieve remarkable success by discovering and applying these laws of nature, they become overly excited and hastily proclaim that they are replacing the Creator's role. Such statements are premature. Even today, what humans know is just a small fraction of the immense and intricate natural laws. There is still so much to learn and understand.
Question 68. How should we understand the term heresy or heretical religion?
Certainly a general understanding of these terms is essential. The term heresy implies something wrong, while orthodoxy signifies what is right. However, upon closer examination, right and wrong coexist in all areas. Even within orthodox and legitimate religions, wrongdoings can occur. In so-called heretical religions, there may still be individuals of integrity and virtue, as depicted in the martial arts novels of Jin Yang. However, in general, a heresy or heretical religion can be identified based on the following signals. It is split from an established religion and introduces new doctrines incompatible with national or international laws, human conscience, and societal ethics. It is a newly established religion, independent of existing mainstream religions, with doctrines that contradict the universal human morality and conscience. It shows signs of exploiting its followers for financial gain. It exhibits indications of building a power base to gain political influence. It lacks the goal of fostering morality and virtue in people, but instead propagates extreme and harmful beliefs. Its leaders appear delusional, arrogant, self-glorifying, and lack transparency on many issues.
Its followers gradually exhibit distorted personalities, becoming disconnected from society, showing no love for others, and harboring hostility toward those who do not follow their religion. It may use stimulants to manipulate its followers psychologically. It may employ charms or spells to enchant and control its followers. It may be established by a covert organization to serve its own agenda rather than to guide people toward righteousness and virtue. In some cases, its leaders themselves are deluded by their misguided beliefs and unintentionally lead others astray. In other cases, the leaders deliberately use religion as a tool for deception, fully aware of their manipulative actions. From the perspective of the law of cause and effect, or the law of karma, those who were drawn into heretical paths may have unresolved karmic debts to heretical leaders from past lives, compelling them to follow such paths in this life to repay those debts.
Question 69. Why does heresy infiltrate orthodoxy, causing distortion?
A religion is considered orthodox when it aligns with national laws, conforms to human conscience, fosters good morals among its followers, and is upheld by genuine monastics who maintain its core principles. However, throughout human history, we have witnessed countless instances where religious systems, clergy, and followers have become distorted, morally degraded, or deviated. The causes of such issues lie in several factors. Clergy/monastics and followers fail to adhere to the teachings of their religion, yet attempt to justify and defend their missteps with various arguments, leading others down the same erroneous path. Clergy/monastics and followers misunderstand the teachings, practice them incorrectly, and as a result, degrade their personal quality and morality. The allure of fame and fortune drives individuals to use unethical means to compete and fight for power, abandoning their initial commitment to the right path. Due to misunderstandings or discontent, some individuals adopt a passive, negative, and indulgent lifestyle, resulting in moral decline over time. Individuals become arrogant, believing they have already attained great wisdom and spiritual superiority, losing reverence for the divine, looking down on others, and unknowingly eroding their own virtues and morals. For a religion to endure and maintain its integrity over time, its leaders must vigilantly monitor for signs of such deviations and take timely corrective measures.
Question 70. Religions have various methods of spiritual practice, yet also share similarities. Which method can be considered a universal common ground that all religions can adopt?
Each religion has its own methods of spiritual practice, but remarkably, all religions praise a tranquil and virtuous inner state, free from affliction, greed, anger, and worries, filled with clarity and unaffected by life's adversities. This inner state aligns perfectly with what Buddhism refers to as meditative concentration. Thus, meditation can be seen as the common denominator, the shared foundation and unifying practice for all religions. When clergy and followers of different faiths gather, they can envision a future where people of all religions gather in unity, meditate together, and experience boundless happiness. A tranquil mind is also the mind of the divine. Those who achieve such inner tranquility can connect with divine beings, while those whose minds are chaotic cannot. Regardless of religion, cultivating a tranquil mind is essential to transcend the trivialities of worldly existence. A tranquil mind is a strong inner state, whereas a chaotic mind reflects inner weakness. This is evident during challenging situations. Those who panic and scream reveal inner weakness, while those who remain calm and silently seek solutions demonstrate true inner strength. Clergy/monastics, as exemplars of virtue, especially require a tranquil inner state. In times of adversity, their calm demeanor assures followers, helping them overcome anxiety and distress. Similarly, in moments of temptation, monastics' composed attitude further strengthens the faith and resolve of those they guide. every religion should dedicate significant time to the practice of meditation. Through meditation, the world can achieve a noble common ground that transcends individual beliefs, uniting people across all religions.